Okay, guys, if it crashes, just restart this. We'll send the what you call it again. Just go to my profile, hit the follow, hit the notifications. If it crashes, then rejoin immediately. But I'm just gonna try and reset it.
You know, Sulaiman, my personal opinion is the Israeli is gonna start it. I think the Israeli is gonna start invading in South Lebanon. They have been trying to remove the UNIFIL from South Lebanon. They
Of
are
course.
even striking next to the United Nations in Lebanon for them to leave because the Israeli wants to enter more in Lebanon so they can have this
Hello?
safe, they consider safe zone. I think the Israeli is going to start it. Hezbollah's not Hezbollah is going to start it.
Would you happen to be headed towards Darkwater Cross? I might be a woman, but I can crack rock with the best of them. Be careful in there.
Some more breaking
You can
news.
take a nasty spill.
Iranian government to CNN, our
My
forces are
parents
prepared to
live there.
prevent attacks and
I've
engage
written
in
some letters
legitimate
and placed them in a satchel.
self-defense. That's from
Perhaps you wouldn't
Iran.
mind delivering it to them on my behalf? You would? Well then, I would insist on rewarding you for your... Here, take my satchel and give it to my father, Werner. He'll likely have something for you to bring back.
Right. In the meantime, say, jump in. What's your thoughts?
Darkwater Crossing is a
I did.
difficult
Honestly, I
journey.
just joined
Mind
in.
yourself.
So I wanted to check in on that post that you just posted about us joining the war on all three fronts. What's the source on that?
That's the IRGC statement.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's official. We're going to war.
No, no, no. So the IRGC statement is that which one are you talking about? The Trump one or the three fronts one?
Yeah, so the three fronts.
The three fronts is Iran, Lebanon, and Yemen are going to attack Israel tonight,
Ah,
and that's from the IRGC. The Trump one about there being America bombing Iran in the next couple of days. That one's reported by the New York Times. But again, you have to remember, like a lot of this reporting either is the media trying to push it because the Zionist controlled, or
mm,
it's the Trump administration giving mixed messages or mixed signals to keep Iran on their feet. All of these things are possible in my view.
right, right. Yeah, I was just a little bit confused because when I read the post, it says starting tonight we will enter the war with Israel. So I just didn't know if it was official. Trump said, "Hey, we're going in," or what the situation was.
No, no, no. It means like we're gonna do the next wave, and it's gonna be from three fronts.
Okay, okay, awesome. Yeah, man. First and foremost, I just wanted to shout you out, man. I appreciate you bringing us all this news. I've been actually taking some of the things that you've been posting and reposting it on my Instagram. So Twitter is not really, my strong suit, but on Instagram I got a pretty big following. So I've been taking the news that you've been putting out here and reposting it for my people on there to be able to see it. And it's crazy how many people really just are oblivious to what's going on and how serious this really is. I think they crashed again.
Sorry, I was saying I appreciate you, providing the information and news on other platforms and making people aware. It's extremely important, and we're all doing our bit, including yourself, to ensure that that we don't end up in World War III or the US and UK don't join the war. So I think we all
Mhm.
appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys, man. Um, I was gonna say something I completely forgot. Um, it'll come back to me. Don't worry about it.
No problem. Appreciate you coming on. Resistance. I'm not able to verify your claim in terms of the power plant. I'm not seeing any reports on it whatsoever. I'm checking through the telegrams. I'm checking through X. I can't see anything.
Solly, I've been. This is through this Iranian Telegram channel, who are often the first to get these videos in and report on them. So, but they can be a little bit flaky. But I've not seen this image before myself. Certainly not in Tel Aviv power plant. So this looks new. And also, this was another video of actually drones. A cluster of drones were passing over Iraq, not missiles.
We also have Donald Trump has returned to the White House and is set to meet with the national security team. He did not speak to reporters and plans additional meetings tomorrow. So that's happening right now as well. Let's see what happens.
Sulaiman,
Yeah,
there is
Trump
no.
was meant to be giving a speech. Like, he keeps doing it every day, saying that he's going to be giving a speech, and then never really does it. So he's not addressing anything.
So I have a question for pretty much anyone who wants to answer this. But I did see your post earlier, Suleiman, about the bombers being scrambled. Um, so my question is, right? Obviously, it seems like what they're trying to do is, kind of back Israel without necessarily setting foot completely into the war. But with that type of backing, right? Um, I mean, doesn't that you don't think the Axis, the opposing forces, you don't think that would like kind of force the hands of the other people like Russia, China, North Korea, who are backing Iran? And that goes for anyone who can answer that one.
Yeah, I'll give it to Truth to answer in a second. Just some breaking news. And the breaking news is the tweets in the nest. It's what I reported mentioned earlier, but it's reported by CNN. Donald Trump has returned to the White House and is set to meet with his national security team. He did not speak to reporters and plans additional meetings tomorrow. And we also have like a video coming out where the drones did pass over Iraqi airspace and people were rejoicing in their numbers. So those are the two latest and breaking news. I'm just trying to bring like as many people as possible. It's just dumbfounded out why this is happening. I'll reset the space as well. So let me bring people up. Let me see if this is any benefit. Nathan, do come up as well because I do want the breaking news from you. Whatever happened to anti-NSA as well? The guy used to give some good news. Let's see who else is on here to give us breaking news. Oh,
But yeah, Truth, if you want to go ahead and answer that question.
Sorry, is it a back channel? I didn't hear the question. You mind repeating it?
So basically, right, seems like what we're doing is trying not to officially enter the war, but backing Israel very heavily, right? Sending in the bombers, scrambling the warships, all these other different things. What I'm saying is, since it seems like we're kind of tiptoeing around it, right? But with so much involvement, you don't think that might cause some type of reaction from the opposing forces that are backing Iran and inherently bring us into the war anyway?
Well, I mean, what these ancillary forces are doing, so the ones that are supporting Israel right now, I mean, there are, fighter jets are from the UK and France. They're coming from places like Cyprus and the bases in Iraq, plus off the aircraft carrier, other areas too. It's to defend against Iranian drones, so it's more defensive. As far as I know, they haven't launched any offensive attacks. It's just been purely defensive. And America's obviously there. I mean, they have their consultants there on the ground that are helping. So, but yeah, if it escalates further and America does directly get involved and does a strike, say on Fordo or somewhere else, then yeah, I believe, well, Yemen already said they're definitely in. I think that might reactivate Hezbollah as well. Then maybe North Korea will jump in. We'll see. I mean, it depends on what happens, what they do. If it's just one isolated strike, then maybe nothing. If there's something more beyond that, then anything's possible. All we can do is speculate on what's going to happen next. Seems like things are, I don't know, Trump might be beating the drums of war.
and
We'll
just
see.
on the ground invasion, sorry, and Truth, I'll give it straight back to you. Douglas Murray is claiming that Iranian forces reporting a possible ground attack on Fordo nuclear plant. So again, let's see what happens. But that is it. But how would the ground, unless there's Mossad inside Iran, I just can't see it happening. But go ahead, Truth.
I mean, as I've spoken about many times on this space, about how, there are infiltrators within Iran. Many of them have been caught. There's still more. And then Iran has 7 different countries that it borders with. So it's difficult to be able to monitor all the borders at all times and figure out who's. If I was Iran, I would just close off those borders for now. But I guess it's not possible because their own people come and go too. But again, I'm told it's there isn't a ground invasion. That's just fake news. They're just trying to
It
capture.
is fake. It is fake.
They're trying to
There's
capture a
nothing
headline.
affordable.
I mean, there's rumors that another option outside of a strategic strike might be some kind of infiltration, not a ground invasion. No, it's just that's not feasible. Especially when the country's on high alert, they're gonna notice that right away. They'll see it a mile coming. But that would be the other way, because they could try to co-opt or take over for a dough. Because trying to strike it's not possible. It's just too far underground. You know, there's mountain ridges protecting it. It's beyond the reach of the best bunker buster, unless it's struck repeatedly. Even then, it's still not guaranteed to work based on simulation exercises that have failed. So I doubt. I challenge the story on that ground invasion. I don't think it's credible.
Yeah, I don't as well. I think it's yeah, the chances of it being legitimate are extremely low. Go ahead, Patrick, jump in.
How's it going? I guess this would be kind of like my take of the whole thing, kind of directed towards, I guess, like you and Truth. You know, one thing, like, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with, and I agree with the from the Israel side and the damage Iran has done. I'm not sure, like, how. I mean, Truth, you probably know. I haven't heard him say anything that's wrong, really, but how effective the attacks on Iran by Israel have been. I'm assuming, like,
Just some more
aside
breaking
from
news,
Assad.
and I'll give it straight back to you, Patrick. Just 2 seconds, and it is that Iranian drones are entering the airspace of Daraa in Syria. So the drones are over Syrian airspace in Daraa, not too far away from Israel now. Back to you, Patrick.
Yeah, so and I listened to I like Judge Napolitanian, like I like Colonel McGregor. I think Scott Ritter's off his rocker. He's been wrong about a lot. I'm not sure what's going to happen if the U.S. is going to enter the war or not, because this is what's going on in my mind. It's like, what can the U.S. actually do that they can't just give to Israel to do via the air? Because I doubt we're going to go on the ground. Like, if anything, we're going to make some strikes or just keep giving them the material, like Israel, to defend itself or, you know, attack with. But at the end of the day, like, this whole thing's been going on a week, and October 7th happened in a day, and Hamas was more effective, like, attacking Israel than Iran has been so far, based on the numbers I've seen that they've, like, published. And at the same time, like, even if you include the numbers, like, I think Iranians, like, health minister said, like, what, they lost 600 people throughout the week, maybe more, like most of them civilians probably. Um, it seems like this is kind of like a bunch of nonsense, and what's really going on is, like, these Palestinians are getting murdered at a high rate. Like, they got killed, like, what? They killed like over 100 Palestinians in the last 72 hours. Israel did, like, under the guys, and they're shooting rockets like at each other's buildings. You know, when Douglas McGregor said that a huge portion of Tel Aviv has been destroyed or damaged, but that's only based on Jews putting in claims to try to get money from the government for free, that their, you know, window might have been broken, or their, you know, maybe there's some dust in their driveway. Who knows how these people act, because they'll.
We're just hearing a couple of more reports. Iranian media citing senior officials Tehran has precise knowledge of the occupation stockpile of interceptor missiles, and the Israeli fighter jets are entering southern Lebanon at this moment from the coast and eastward to Khiam. Go ahead, continue, Patrick.
Yeah, so I don't really know how you could assess whether Tel Aviv has been completely destroyed or, like, destructed, other than, like, the claims they put in, which most of them are probably not even legit, knowing Jews' behaviors. But I was gonna ask you guys, like, do you really think, like, there's anything that the U.S. could do that we can just let Israel do for its own, and that maybe this is just like a huge show, so Trump gets a win and it just, like, winds down like nothing happened? Because honestly, Iran said they don't want a nuclear weapon. Like, I don't know what the terms of Trump's, like, surrender threat thing is, but it seems like they've already, you know, agreed to the conditions, like, just have Israel stop attacking them. It's pretty much what they want, right? So I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't. What do you think, Suleiman? Like, do you think this is like a? Because, like, honestly, like, it seems like it's a lot of nothing. Like, in perspective to, like, what's been going on in Gaza the last 2 years. from both ends. I figured I'd see a lot more from Iran, and I was hoping to see a lot more from also like Hamas, like maybe like working with them and like everyone rising up against them. But it just seems like it's, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You're saying there should be more coordination. Guys, just more breaking news. The tweet is in the nest, which is massive explosion reported in eastern Tehran and Tabriz. So apparently there has been some explosion reported in East Tehran and Tabriz. That's happening right now. Back to you, Patrick. Did you finish your point?
yeah, and I guess like if Mossad and the Israelis and the Jewish supremacists can infiltrate our government and everyone else's government, why can't they do the same for Iran's? And it just doesn't seem like, I don't know. It's weird to me. What do you think, man? Like let's ask
No, but
you.
there has been. That's the issue, that the Israeli Mossad has infiltrated into Iran in terms of from a Mossad perspective. Hence why some of the attacks or a number of the attacks that happen in Iran have been from these sleeper cells or these Israeli agents who've been operating inside Iran. And you have to remember, Iran is huge as a land as from a size perspective. And therefore infiltration happens. And also with Iran has diverse opinions and views and thoughts. And it's not like US or UK where you have like Democrat or Republican or Labour or Conservative. Some of the factions are like wanting to overthrow the other factions. So, for example, if the those who support the Shah do so, now the issue they've got right now is, even though there has been a wide divergence of opinions in Iran, let's say the reformists, the current Islamic regime, and then you've basically got, like the people who support the Shah and various others, and then people who are pro democracy. But actually what's happened is these attacks have united a lot of people within Iran from this external force because they see an external enemy trying to attack them. So I think that's an important point to note on that. But I appreciate your comments there, Patrick. It was really interesting points you made. Jay, jump in.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, yeah, great space and a lot of interesting developments over the past few hours. So, yeah, it looks like, with the current, situation of Israel, not Israel, of Yemen, as well as sorry, it's Yemen and Lebanon that are going to join, the war. It does kind of feel like Israel is going to be backed into a position to do one of two things. Since J.D. Vance is also now publicly advocating against the war, and that's being reported by mainstream media, it either makes it more likely that a false flag happens, so these all people can then, switch their talking points to essentially saying, well, now we have to respond. We didn't want to get involved, but now we have to respond because, our assets in the Middle East have been attacked. Or, it's also possible Israel could be pushed into, a quicker white flag because, their country is just too small to continue taking the type of beating that they've been taking over the past week, for weeks at a time. And that was with just Iran, going at them now with two more countries, jumping in, one of which is right along their border, Lebanon to the north. And if Hezbollah is, organized and mobilizes, then, it could be a quick, a quick destruction, actually, if everyone in Hezbollah, is involved and Iran supplies them, well. So I would say keep a lookout over the next few days because with these latest developments, the likelihood of a false flag happening seems like it's going up. So hopefully it doesn't go in that direction and Israel realizes, in order to preserve itself and not be completely destroyed, it has to call a truce because then there will just be, less deaths for everyone. But especially given what Iran has been saying, how Palestine is at the top of their priority list, and one of the reasons this war is one of the preconditions for the war to end. There has to be a solution there. It could result to best case scenario in the creation of a Palestinian state. So
Just some more breaking news.
yeah.
Right, it's here. Our breaking news: our forces are prepared to prevent attacks and for legitimate self-defense. Negotiations will be futile if attacks continue, and we will consider the matter when they cease. This is from the Iranian government spokesperson, and the source is CNN. So they're basically saying the attacks need to cease before there's any form of negotiations. Back to you. 1 second, let me give more news. Here it is. The U.S. president begins his meeting with the National Security Council in the White House Situation Room. That's happening now. Al Mayadeen responds that Iranian armed forces have a large stockpile of fortified drones in underground cities which contain thousands of drones. This is Al Mayadeen reporting on that. What else we got? That's the latest news. But jump in.
There's also some news that Israel is now. They had a very urgent phone call. Trump was on, and they're urging Trump to quickly bomb the Fordow nuclear site.
Bitcoin
sorry,
and
say that, yep.
Ethereum have just had a quick correction. It's the market that's open over the weekend. A lot of liquidations.
Oh my God, Bitcoin's crashing again, Simon.
Yeah, it's normally a leading indicator.
Hell yeah! Now the market says there's a World War III.
Oh,
You heard?
no,
Let's get that dip
no,
going.
no,
Crash
no,
it to the
not
dirt.
quite.
Part of the
Not
trust
quite.
the plan, Mofe. Trust the plan.
Not quite. A 1% correction is definitely not World War III.
Crash it to the
Bro,
dirt.
Simon, I'm 1% poorer. Bro.
Okay, so 1% correction in Bitcoin, 3% correction in Ethereum. That's a sneeze.
Hey, if
my
it breaks
God,
under
I
100,000, it's done
what you
for.
told me to, Simon.
That's a sneeze, but it's
Simon, if it breaks support, Simon, you know if it breaks support at 100,000, it could be done for.
Of course, it's not done for. Bitcoin will always recover.
Yeah, I know.
And,
I mean, short term.
To give you an indication, it's
Bitcoin's like monopoly money, isn't it, Simon?
Yeah, it did have a significant correction during the Ukraine, Russia, whatever you want to invasion, special military operation, but then it recovered significantly afterwards. But the point is that it's open on the weekend, so it's acting as a leading indicator for where the market tends to. Most people think the market tends to go. So I'll keep watching it for you.
But isn't that a problem, Simon? I mean, I don't want to start making this into a thing, and maybe we should have this conversation later. But I guess I'm gonna ask the question anyway. But isn't that a problem? Like, wasn't Bitcoin meant to be its own unit, like its own independent mode or currency, not something that's linked to the market? If it's just linked to the market, then you're back into the same issue, right?
It was.
Well, no.
So they meant it was, but the feds took control when they made those Bitcoin futures.
Nah, Bitcoin goes on its own trajectory long term, so it's not correlated long term in any way, shape, or form. But short term, people speculate and use it as an indication. But it's completely broken away from market long term.
Simon, I'm just getting poorer and poorer while I'm on the space. This Bitcoin thing's not looking good. This Ethereum's not looking good.
You're only poor if you sell.
It's cratering.
Solana. I'm running this space and I'm getting poorer. Never mind not even making money, I'm getting poorer.
All right, well you better buy Khomeini coin and maybe that one would do well.
Boom, boom, boom. That's the coin, guys. No one created it because last time I said someone created a coin and it was funny. But
yeah,
listen,
just for the records, if anyone DMs you right now or anyone in the comment tells you that they just created that coin, it's not us. It's not official.
I've
They're
not
gonna
created
scam
the
you.
boom boom. I've not created the boom boom Tel Aviv coin, guys. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, and if anyone DMs you pretending to be us, it's not us. They're gonna try and ask you to send the money. You'll lose that money. It's just scammers taking advantage. But silly, you creating Boom Boom coin?
No, bro. No, I'm not creating a coin. I told you I was given options to make bag on coins. I won't create my own coin. I might advertise other coins. That's a different story. Like if I get paid bag, but I would not create my own coin at the moment. I don't think so. Just based on the situation, especially if it's based on the conflict. We mentioned that. Mentioned that one. Here we go. Okay. The Yemeni Houthis have made a statement. Let me post it first, and then I'll read it out. In the meantime, Simon, take over.
Okay, cool. So has anyone got any breaking news? Otherwise, I'm just going to go through some of the hands. Velvet, we haven't heard from you. Have you got some breaking news or anything you'd like to say?
No breaking news. Just wanted to make a point, if that's okay.
Go for it. We may interrupt you if there's breaking news, but keep talking.
No problem at all. Appreciate it. And that was a good lighthearted laugh, even though we're dealing with some pretty serious stuff here. This space just provides everything. I wanted to take a stab, especially with what's in the nest here. The story about what Iran is saying about attacks need to cease before they even think about negotiations. I wanted to take a stab at the argument for diplomacy to prevail here over the next few days. I think when you look at it from Iran's perspective, the threat of the U.S. entering the war is not a small thing. I know there's a lot in here that feel that the U.S. wouldn't be successful. I think that's a totally fair point. Either way, it's still a very scary prospect for them. They could claim political victory to their people by going to the negotiation table and saying, hey, look, Israel attacked us preemptively. We push back against them. They now are forced to the negotiation table. I think that could be turned into a political win for them. So even if the war continues again after that, at the very least, they could buy themselves some time and potentially avert a full-scale U.S. involvement. So that's my argument for diplomacy. I think that there is a good chance that we could see that.
I'm reading this Yemeni statement, right? And it just doesn't sound like the normal statements they made. Truth, are you sure you not made this statement and then put it in the Telegram groups and then pretended it's from the Houthis?
I don't want to get my account nuked. I can't disclose that. Yeah, maybe I'm a crypto Yemeni advisor and I'm drafting their scripts. Though.
I'll
Yeah,
read
sure.
the statement. I'm not sure if I'm gonna
I'm the
post it.
Yemeni David Frum writing scripts for them. Sure.
I'm gonna read the statement. It doesn't sound like the Houthi statement from the past, right? But I'm still gonna read it for the bands, for the content, for the people. I think Truth wrote it and then put it in the various Telegram group. But let's see. Let me read it. I'll let you guys decide. So the voice of Gentiledom tells the entire world that if the American Zog gets involved directly with the usurping Jewish entity's aggression against Iran, which he called the principal obstacle to Zionist regional hegemony, Yemen will then resume the targeting of its aircraft carriers and accompanying warships in the Red Sea. Sari the Sandarian Smasher said, okay, this is, I don't know what's going on. These are like comments.
That is definitely Truth's message.
That's truth. Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's Yemen because now it's saying in here. Sari the Sandirian Smasher said something, so it looks like it's more from a message board.
You just got psyoped. You just got psyoped. Truth just
yeah,
said
no, I didn't tweet. I said I wasn't gonna tweet out, bro.
Looks
Simon,
like
I said
my
I wasn't
message
gonna tweet
is
out.
going global.
Truth.
Despite all the censorship and the shadow banning, looks like my message has finally gone global. Good for them. I'm glad they finally picked up on it. Hopefully the rest of the Middle East wakes up as well. Lebanon next, etc. It's great sign. I've lit a fire in their bellies.
I think
Truth just wanted the clip. He's just gonna clip it and make it viral now.
Yeah. I think that was true for Roy, to be honest. Let's read this breaking news. Iranian drone spotted in the skies of Daraa countryside heading towards Israel. So they're getting closer and closer towards Israel. What is here? Iranian air defense intercepted hostile objects in the city of Qom. Local Syrian media. Iranian drones spotted in the skies of Daraa countryside heading towards Israel. Iranian drones spotted in the skies of Daraa countryside. Okay, same point. Israeli warships open intensive fire towards fishing boats in the Sea of Khan Yunis City. So that's happening right now as well. It's crazy. Back to you, Simon.
Okay, all right. So, Velvet, were you done, or should we go over to Patrick?
Yep, all done. Thanks for letting me speak.
Okay, thank you for your analysis. Patrick, jump in.
You guys mentioned like the possibility of a ground attack. Like the other thing I wanted to go back to was the Scott Ritter prediction and analysis thing where I was listening to Douglas McGregor. I kind of like him. He said something that was really important that clicked with me recently, and it was about how Iraq was a success until we occupied. Because you're never supposed to occupy. It's a military disadvantage. And we did roll through that place and destroy their military, and if we just left, it would have been way better than it was. The problem was the occupation. So I'm not like one of these people who think Iran is the toughest, this axis of resistance, which are this badass, which is going to put an end to the Jewish supremacy in Israel. But I do believe that the United States could roll through that, destroy it, and as long as they didn't get caught there, just leave pretty successfully. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, that's what I was trying to ask Truth about, like, in Suleiman too, like with the last question I made about, like, do you really think, like, there's anything that the U.S. will do that they can't just let Israel do?
Remember, Patrick, before we get to that, some people often define success as winning a war. That's when it's a real war. US has had a long-standing policy of creating disruption and occupying because it's a way of scamming dollars from the American people and handing them over to American corporate contractors. They get to print GDP.
I think it's a win-win for the Jewish state of Israel. It's a way to destroy the American threat and aggression, destroy them, bleed them down, and also
it goes over to American contracts. It benefits America in terms of fake GDP. It doesn't benefit the American people, but America never benefited the American people. So the companies get the contracts. They get a forever flow of money. The money gets to be printed, which creates inflation, which doesn't benefit the American people, but it benefits the asset prices of those that own the assets. And so systemically, it's built into the system of the dollar that going into these wars and having forever occupations, so people talk about Afghanistan, say it being a failure. It replaced the Taliban with the Taliban with $2 trillion. But that $2 trillion was printed, served the US stock market, and made the GDP make it look like the economy's growing as it's stealing money away from the American people and over to the contractors that get these fake contracts, fake GDP, fake growth. And then the American people are wondering while they're struggling, while they're told that GDP is up and growth is up and everything's good within the economy. So it's systemically built into it, just the structure of it. So the Forever War was a business model in order to stimulate fake growth.
Well, I mean, money's just debt backed by violence. I think it was more simple than that, and it was designed to breed the goyim, so that you had potentially like white Christian, higher IQ goyim like threats dying off for Israel, being like destroyed by the nuclear family, women's rights, all this weird Jew stuff they push on everyone they control, and then they used us to go try to push that onto the Afghanis. Like it.
Well, if you own US stock, anybody that owns US stock, then you benefit from that growth as well.
I don't know, man. America's like a death camp, like generationally. Like your children aren't going to live long here. But the thing is, like, I just don't see any benefit, like, from having the U.S. get involved other than like making a threat to try to just end it, which I hope happens. But there's nothing that the United States can do that we can't just have Israel do, like at this point, right? Like what the B-52 bomber thing.
There's
like
some more breaking news. What is going on? Okay. Anti-war protesters have the tweets in the nest, I believe. Yes, it is. Anti-war protesters have just taken over Penn State Station in New York City. Americans do not support war. That tweet's in the nest. I do want you to retweet it, reshare it, let everybody know about it. Americans are not standing with Trump's war right now. Go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, I think the point Patrick's trying to express that no, Americans don't benefit, but there's going to be American corporations that may benefit from it. But in this case, because America is trying to roll over $10 trillion of debt, the outbreak and economic impact right now could actually be a death spiral in terms of debt, the implications that has on banks. So there is really not a lot to win here. Trump's strategic goal is to get the price of oil down to offset some of the inflation from his big, beautiful bill. His big, beautiful bill transfers a lot of money over to the military industrial complex. It's inflationary by nature. He's trying to offset that inflation through lower oil prices. At the same time, he's got $10 trillion to roll over this year. that $10 trillion is going to go up from an interest rate of an average of 3.3% to at least 4%, 4.5%, 5%. So as this gets worse, if the US does enter into the war, it could increase that interest payment from $1 trillion to a trillion, 1.1 trillion, 1.2, 1.3, as it gets worse. So it's completely counter to the strategic goal at the moment. And so if US does join the war and this leads to a sustained conflict rather than escalate to de-escalate, then that is working completely against the country's interest. And you have to wonder why those miscalculations are being made. And I think everyone's got different theories. And I think Patrick would have a theory. Is because the
Well, I
Jews
was
are in
going to say
charge.
something about like if there was ground involvement, I could see like during Operation Just Cause, there was like Acid Gambit. Delta Force broke into a Panamanian prison and
Just some more
freed
news. It's
US.
not breaking, but I know we were joking about it, but we actually did a tweet on it.
It is
Crypto.
breaking.
Sorry.
Yeah, it is breaking. Bitcoin. It is breaking. Breaking down.
Bro, Bitcoin, yeah, it is break. Simon's breaking down as well. Bitcoin is crashing. So Ethereum is crashing. According to, and Simon, you'll know more about this actually, the tweets in the nest, but Bitcoin, Ethereum are dropping sharply following reports of a ground attack on Iran's Fordo. Do you think that's the reason it's crashed significantly in the last few hours, or what do you think is going down?
Well, I would say, yeah, there's mass liquidations. I think there's certainly some kind of correlation. But this tends to happen when you get these outbreaks of news over the weekend. Then people take off some of the exposure through Bitcoin. They try and manipulate the price. And when it's definitely something that happens over the weekend leading into the markets opening on Monday. So I think there's definitely, traders that are.
Oh my God, Simon! I put the tweet in the nest. Over $370 million liquidated from the crypto market in the past couple of hours after reports of a ground attack on Iran's Fordo.
Just don't
Simon,
Yeah, and
sell.
we don't even have a good source for the ground attack, do we? This is pure market manipulation. In order to traders being traders, this is what they do. But Bitcoin, as I said,
Simon, both of us are poorer since we've been on the space.
Just don't sell, Sully. You're good.
yeah, you're only poor if you
What?
sell.
Should I not dump my Bitcoin?
You're only poor if you sell and
Buy
buy
the
Trump
dip.
token.
Simon,
Yeah, but what I was going to say is they can't palm that Fordo plant. The last airborne operation, like type of operation like this, mainly was like Just Cause, I believe. And I could see like Israel utilizing like Delta Force like they did in Iraq during the first Gulf War before they got entered, like to go hunt down scuds for them. Like I could see them like utilizing like some type of small operator force to go in there and try to penetrate.
Iran isn't Iraq.
I mean, at the time, Iraq was pretty nothing to scoff at compared to Iran, at the time.
No,
I know
you're
times
wrong.
change.
You're wrong about that. So you did the Millennium Challenge exercise in the early 2000s. To your
That's
military
for airborne
simulation.
operations or what?
Just pay attention because it was clear you didn't know. So, anyways, they did a simulation exercise called the Millennium Challenge, where they went about trying to decipher whether they'd be able to successfully, attack and invade Iran. And in every scenario they tried, every military simulation tactic they tried, the U.S. failed and got beat, including a blitz. And that was with 1,200 soldiers that were monitoring in addition to a general, etc. They took it quite seriously. So they immediately shut down the exercise and decided to move on to lower hanging fruit, being Iraq. So you think Iran's more powerful now than it was 20 years ago?
Absolutely, without a doubt. I'm not saying.
What do you think their chances are of beating Iran now?
Who? Like, what do you mean by beat them? Like, it's the other thing. I don't think
Iran
Israel's going to win the war
you
because
think
they
they'll be
seconds.
successful if they try and attack? What do you think? What's your assessment?
Just some more news. I'm not tweeting this. I don't want to tweet too much about crypto. But anyway, this is not crypto, it's Polymarket. But the B-2 bombers, as the B-2 bombers are on the way to Guam, The probability that the US strikes Fordo's nuclear facility before July is up to 49%. Do you remember yesterday, or was it the day before? At one point, I believe it was up to 60, 70%. If I remember. Oh, yeah.
It was a peak. It was a peak of 80% last time. So.
Or was it a peak of 80%? So it did drop all the way down to 25% 2 days ago. And now it's up to 49%. But again, you have to remember, like, Polymarket is completely speculation based on the way people bet or trade, or however you want to describe it. But yeah, go ahead.
This is crypto bros betting on geopolitics.
I mean, I was just thinking, like, if they can't bomb it, like, and there's question about the success of conducting such a strike, the only other thing that would come to mind that they would probably do, even without spies like embedded, would be a direct, like, kind of targeted assault with, like, operators, kind of like small scale to accomplish whatever objective, whether it be like kind of a sabotage or
They done that in the first 24 hours anyway.
I'm just saying, I don't know when the last time it's been done before, like in real life. I think the last time, like, there's been a main like airfield like seizure, and also like a kind of like clandestine like operation similar to this would be like Operation Just Cause, when they took over that airfield from Noriega, and at the same time they performed Operation Gambit, where they broke out the CIA kind of agents from prison in Panama simultaneously, But I don't see why the Rangers and like Delta Force couldn't potentially be like the next best option, like opposed to bombing the mountain into oblivion, which kind of sounds ridiculous.
Appreciate that, Patrick. Thank you so much. We've not heard anything from the drones. Jaffer, have you heard anything from the drones that were basically sent to Israel?
No, nothing. I read that they took one down, but there was like 10 on the way, and they were above Syria. So other than that, I don't know.
I mean, drones do take a lot longer, though, right?
That's a question for Truth Teller, because I think they send them at different speeds.
Yeah,
and I think the maximum, like,
they can take up to 2 hours. They can take up to 2 hours to get there. Some are a little bit faster. The 238s are a bit faster.
Yeah, they were over Iraq and then over Syria. So, and I think some were over. So the first wave, 15 of them were over southern Lebanon, over Nabatea, and I think one was shot down. But what happened to the other 14? And then we got this image which I sent you of the Tel Aviv power plant being hit. I'm not sure if it's. I mean, yeah, you could. It's a good point. It could be an old one, but I've not seen that image before over the last 7-8 days. So did those hit the power plant?
The media blackout is amazing in Israel right now. But in terms of Suleiman, you said there will be 3 fronts: Lebanon and Yemen. Iran will never announce something on behalf of Hezbollah or Ansarullah. So in terms of 3 fronts tonight, that's not true.
Or do you think IRGC just blagging it, or do you think that they're gonna try and attack from Iran in a different, from Lebanon in a different way?
Where was that announced by them?
It was announced by the IRGC.
Was it on Telegram or?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so we've got some more breaking news. Let me just give this one. This is Trump is arriving at the White House ahead of his national security meeting regarding Iran. So Trump has arrived at the White House ahead of his meeting. Let's see what this one. Oh, this is long, but I'm going to read that. But anyway, to summarize, the EU review has found Israel to have broken 38 separate articles of various international law treaties and conventions in Gaza and the West Bank. What else we got here? Iranian air defenses shot down a Zionist drone in the sky over the holy city of Qom. An Israeli attack on the vicinity of Imam Raza Hospital in Tabriz. According to CNN, cited the U.S. Department for the evacuated approximately 70 Americans from Israel and transported them by air from Tel Aviv to Athens on Saturday.
You won't get away.
The official account of the Israeli Antique Authority was hacked by Iranian hackers who posted, "Soon all Israelis will face the consequences of their war crimes."
Over here.
What else we got here? IGC. IGC say 14 strategic Israeli military sites hit in the 18th phase of True Promise 3. The IGC said Saturday's 18th phase of Operation True Promise 3 was one of the most successful of the past week, striking increased strategic targets in Haifa and Tel Aviv. The White House is under heavy federal security. Send this one second. I was gonna tweet this out. What else we got? We've mentioned the White House one. The Marine corporal outside the West Wing of the White House means that President Trump is currently meeting with the national security team about the situation in Iran. That's the latest and breaking news. Back to you, Simon.
Okay, Patrick, you wanted to jump in again?
Yeah, something I forgot to mention too, like I'm getting the feeling of is like Iran is like attacking like some of these positions, like kind of like more so not for like military like destruction, but kind of like economic consequence. I get the feeling of because like I'd assume like the hits on Haifa, like where the port is. I don't know all like the ins and outs. Like when I start thinking about it, they're shutting down commerce, they're shutting down the economy. It's almost like these strikes they're making are more psychological to some extent than actually or economical than like kind of like violently malicious and murderous like in like psychotic like Israel does at the same time. That's something I wanted to put out
Yeah,
there and wonder.
that's exactly what's been happening. So what we're witnessing is the targeting of infrastructure, the psychological warfare of people continually having to go down into bunkers, which means that commerce can't continue. The ports have been closed down, which means that Israel's not able to export its LNGs right now. That's a revenue stream. Essentially, Israel is being turned into a distressed asset. They have been using, they have bunkers all across Israel, and so therefore, when these targets are happening, it's bricks and mortar, it's businesses, it's buildings going down. There's been targets at the illegal settlements. Prior to the illegal settlements, they warned civilians that they should be leaving those illegal settlements. So this is using a similar strategy to what Israel used in Gaza, with the exception of the civilian targets, and taking what could be resolutions to what comes next. So it is definitely an economic war. Iran is able to sustain this. It's used to living in a sanctioned environment, an isolated environment. It has its key partnerships with BRICS, Russia and China. The port of the Strait of Hormuz is something that likely won't be shut down.
Just some breaking news, but I have got some questions about this straight. Israeli aircraft intercept Iranian Shahid 136 kamikaze drones. This is initially thought that they were the 238s, but it's not. One of the drones crashed in Beit Shean. This is the beginning of the drone spotted south of Beirut after a few minutes ago, but you can see the visual of some of the drones that have been taken out. Back to you, Simon. You were talking about the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, the strait is one of those things that would be threatened, but that would be how you escalate this to a much, much greater regional and global war. So, the strait is, it has all sorts of interests in there. Obviously, Iran depends on it for imports, but it is the most important choke point in the world for the region. So that would affect all oil exporters in the region, whether it be Qatar for Nat LNG, or Saudi, and various other regional players. It tends to go into China, Japan, South Korea, So it'd be impacting the Asia markets, but it's also got NATO naval forces, both Britain and US. It also has GCC. It also has Asian forces there as well, whether it be. So in order to actually execute the blockade, you'd have to use the Iranian Navy, and that would be met with the severe economic destruction, particularly in the midst of tariff wars, would be enough to really send the American economy into a real spiral. But it would have impact on all economies. So it really is the last resort economically nuclear option. And so it's always threatened, but that would definitely lead to an escalation that brings regions, both Asia, America, NATO, and other regional powers into the mix.
Absolutely. That's what I think is going to take place.
I think we need to create our own bank. First, to set up a community trust structure, and then you appoint everybody as a managing director of a trust, you set up a trust account for everybody, everybody pools all this together, you buy gold and silver with it, you invest it, and you pay dividends back to everybody in the community. That's how we could run an economic system and completely bypass the federal government and the international bankers. Every community could do that. Every church could do that. Every organization could do that. Every family could do that. And watch the wealth start shifting back into your hands again.
Prices up to potentially $200. You'd see all across the region people trying to stockpile, and it would look very much like what happened during the Ukraine-Russia situation, but significantly more severe. So the markets would indicate if that were to happen, and there would be people in the know from the shipping side, and that would build up into something that the markets would react to. But the time to do it would be over the weekend, knowing that on Monday the economic consequences would be like a Black Monday style event, if that were what's happening right now. I think we've got a lot further to go, and that would be I think, as good as a declaration of economic war that was designed in order to escalate into way more involvement into a physical war scenario. The markets aren't saying that at the moment, and I don't think it is going to happen, but that's something we'd be watching for.
In terms of specifically, you mentioned the Strait of Hormuz. Let's say Iran was able to shut it down. What would that mean for the global, for the globe?
Exactly what I just said. So I don't know if you were doing some other stuff, but yeah, it's an economic Armageddon. And at the same time...
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant in terms of if they went to war with Iran.
No, this is if they were to shut it down, it would lead, it would escalate towards war. Because basically, in order to stop that, there would be a coordinated effort from NATO, GCC to strike down the blockade. The blockade could only really happen with Iran engaging in some kind of naval blockade. It's a very hard operation to actually pull off, but you can bet your bottom dollar that they've simulated it, and they'd be thinking how they would do it, but they would know that it would lead to strikes on Iranian on Iranian naval fleets, and they know that that would come most likely from NATO, US, UK forces, which would be, the type of event that would escalate. And so, Iran's going to be very, very careful about that because they know it's such an escalatory action.
If I may speak in quickly, Andrew here, retired naval officer, submarine warfare. The Straits of Hormuz is a lightning rod for the United States Navy. There are several orders of battle ready to come off the shelf. That is no BS. We will not, I say we, the United States Navy will not mess with the Straits of Hormuz. Now, I don't want to go into the geopolitical stuff and all of the other, But it all comes down to the very foundation of sea lines of communication for the world. 70% of the world is water. The United States Navy is going to make sure all sea lanes of communication are open, irregardless of the politics. The problem is, and that's when the politics come into it. I don't even want to talk about that, but I pray Iran does not mess with the Straits of Hormuz. I just pray they don't. Yeah, I'll get off on that.
Thanks for sharing that insight, Andrew, and feel free to keep jumping in like that. We definitely appreciate the insights.
Okay, so it looks like, let's see, we got Sean with his hands up. Sean, what did you want to say?
Hey, everybody. Sean here, your DC correspondent. Just walking back to my house here in the District of Columbia from a Hands Off Iran protest. There's a good amount of people there. They shut down the street for a little while. We marched around, and yeah, there was a good amount of people, chanting against our government's insane Zionist agenda. Met some cool Iranians there, some pro resistance Iranians. I gotta say, I'm always very impressed with Shia Muslims. I mean, I love all Muslims, but Shia Muslims in particular. It's just wild how, all the Shia countries are like besides Azerbaijan, I don't even consider them Shia, but I know they are. But yeah, it's cool how Shia Muslims seem to have like support for the oppressed like baked in. But yeah, just wanted to say that there's people all across America who are, protesting against the genocide in Gaza, who don't want to go to war against Iran. And I would say, from the polling, that seems to be a majority of people. So just remember, if our government does choose to go to war, it was, against the will of the people. Like literally, there's homeless people outside the White House. There's so many better things that our money should be spent on than killing babies in Gaza. And yeah, just wanted to say that. That yeah, people are, check out a protest near you in America, Palestinian Youth Movement, PSL, Answer Coalition. If you're in New York City within our lifetime, DSA. There's a ton of organizations that are regularly organizing for Palestine.
So Sean, would you say the anti-Iran, anti-war, the anti-war movement for war with Iran, is that the same movement as the pro-Palestinian cause, or do you think it's bringing in additional factions?
I mean, no, honestly, like I would love to see that there was like a wider expansion and that there was like, because they did mention, someone mentioned, a speaker during the event, they mentioned how, the Tucker Carlson interview with Ted Cruz, how it sort of symbolized what we see online, which is an insurgent, anti-war, anti-Zionist strain coming up in the right wing of reflected yet. I was a little bit worried because I knew that there was going to be like a diversity of people, and I know that Iran is, a couple of years ago they tried to do that sort of like color revolution, Western-backed like Masa Amini type thing. So I was a little worried, like, oh, what if some of the liberal Iranians, try to crash the protest or something? But even liberal Iranians, hey, you left your drink up on top of your car. Sorry, I'm not walking down the street, but yeah, no, there was a lot of people who were like even the people that I would have assumed were more liberal were chanting, do not bomb Iran. And yeah, the general tenor of the event was pro resistance. But yeah, no, I didn't necessarily see any new right wing people necessarily. And I'll be honest, I don't exactly expect it, because if the scenes from Gaza were not enough to bring people out, I honestly don't know if the prospect of a war with Iran or if a hot war with Iran will bring out more people. And I am a little bit doom pilled. I do this almost more as therapy. I don't necessarily think that the Zionist occupied and blackmailed government that rules over me is, I don't think they care at all about our protests. So yeah, that's all I got to say. Just wanted to check in with you guys.
Sean, quick question. Sorry, let me give the breaking news and get the question. Israel is attempting to attack Isfahan nuclear facility right now. Israel is attempting to attack Isfahan nuclear facility right now. Sean, where did you say you were? Were you in DC?
Yeah, yep, in DC, right outside
So
the
there's
White
protests
House.
in DC because we've seen protests in